So I want to talk for a few minutes about developing cultures where people know they're beautiful. In Proverbs 22:6, I bet we can all quote this even though some of us may not know what the address is. If you train up a child in the way they should go, when they're old, they won't depart from it. When you train up a child in the way they should go, when they should go, then when they're old, they won't depart from it. How many of you understand that there's dimensions to the way they should go? We could say, well, we want them to be good people, and there's this universal thought of we want our kids to be good people. But how about if we actually went beyond good people and started thinking about God people? Like, who's living in your house? What if you started to get prophetic insight into the way they should go, and metaphorically speaking, you start taking pictures and you start to describe to your kids what you see. You're like, you look good in that. That is amazing. I don't know about you, but Proverbs is one of my favorite books of the Bible. And when my kids were growing up, they were supposed to read a chapter every day, and they usually didn't. I know which chapters they missed. Anyway, but do you know that Proverbs was actually the homeschool textbook of Solomon's life? Do you know that according to Chronicles 22:6, that God told David, you will not build the temple for me, because David said, I had this temple in my heart, I want to build it. And God says, you're a man of bloodshed. I don't want a violent man making something permanent. So your son, you will have a son, his name will be Solomon. This is before Solomon was born. And he will build the temple, this permanent structure for me. So when Solomon was born and got old enough, David began to repeat the prophecy to Solomon. God said, listen, I want to build a temple. And in the story in 1 Chronicles 22 is David telling his son about his history in God and telling him, I wanted to build this temple. I gathered all the money, all the materials for it. And then God said, no, you can't do that. But you're going to have a son, his name is going to be Solomon. And then we named you Solomon. So David has all these sons, all these wives, but he's got one son that he knows by God is going to be king. And he begins to raise him and Bathsheba, his mother, raise Solomon to be king. And Solomon recalls that in the Proverbs. He says this in Proverbs 6:20. My son, observe the commandment of your father. Do not forsake the teaching of your mother, repeating what his mother and father taught him. Bind them continually on your heart. Tie them around your neck. When you walk about, they will guide you. When you sleep, they will watch over you. When you are awake, they'll talk to you. What's he talking about? These are the things my mother taught me. These are the things my father commanded me in. And he said, listen, these things, Solomon, you'll need these the rest of your life. Ladies, how many of you like Proverbs 31? I thought probably most women's favorite chapter in the Bible, or at least one of them. And it begins like this: the words of King Lemuel. I don't know if you know this, but when I wrote the book, Fashion to Reign book about women, empowering women, I did a study on Proverbs 31 for obvious reasons. And Lemuel actually means beloved, or the one who God loves. And it was the name that Bathsheba gave to Solomon when he was a boy. This is not a story of another king. This is the story of Solomon. And listen to what Bathsheba taught him in the first few verses of chapter 31. The words of King Lemuel, the oracle his mother taught him. What, O my son, what of the son of my womb, what of the son of my vows? Do not give your strength to women or your ways to that which destroys kings. Why do you think she told him that? This is Bathsheba. Remember Bathsheba? What did she say to him? Do not give your heart to women. Be careful, Solomon, because that destroys kings. How did she know that? Because the man she married committed adultery with her and killed her husband. And she begins to tell him, do not give your strength to women. It's not for kings, O Lemuel. It's not for kings to drink wine or rulers to drink strong drink, for they will drink and forget their decrees and pervert the rights of the afflicted. Let them open your mouth for the mute, for the rights of the unfortunate. Open your mouth, judge righteously, defend the rights of the afflicted and the needy. And it goes on, and you know this is a beautiful chapter. But here's my point. How would your life change? How would the life of the people that you were around change if you saw them the way God saw them, and you began to see them, and you began to speak to them, not as they are, but as they're called to be? One of the quotes we repeat often is Ellison Armadine's quote. She's one of our students who eventually was the editor for 3 of my books. And Ellison mentioned, when she was in school ministry one time, she raised her hand and she gave me this quote. She said, "I love to listen to other people's prophecies." I said, "You love to listen to other people's prophecies? Why?" She said, "So I treat them not as they are, but as God sees them, and I invite them into their destiny."